Hey everybody, welcome back to Running on Disney. It is Military Monday, and today we are going to be talking about moving to your first duty station. You've completed tech school, you have your orders in hand to go to whatever one of the fine military installations you are lucky enough to call your first duty station. But now what? What needs to be done? So there is a lot of terminology, so to speak, with this video. So I'm going to be using some acronyms or some phrases that might not be familiar to you if this is your first move. So I will have what it means displayed right here at the bottom of the screen and a link to a couple of helpful pieces of information should you want to look this up on your own. I am going to put a quick disclaimer at the beginning of this. While I am trying my best to give you all the answers that I have, my best suggestion would be to either join the Facebook group for whatever base you're going to be moving to, or to join the Air Force Wing Moms Direct Spouse page. It's a big mouthful if you are on Facebook. If not, honestly, for this, I would recommend getting one because it's filled with people who have done this before, whether it's just, they've already done one move or they have many under their belts at this point. They have a lot of helpful information, or they have ways to connect you to people who will. You can meet other spouses who are going to be in the same area as you. All around, I would recommend, if this is your first duty station, if this is your first experience with the military, I would highly recommend becoming a member of any one of those groups that I've mentioned. Now, the moving itself, there are a couple options that you can choose from. Really, there's only two, maybe 2.5, kind of. You have a do-it-yourself move, a partial do-it-yourself move, and then you can go through the Air Force with TMO. Now, I will explain TMO first because that is what my husband and I did when we had our stuff moved from Oklahoma to the house that we live in right now. And then we kind of did a do-it-yourself move. When we moved from his tech school to Lackland originally. And I'll explain kind of the whole situation with that. So there's just a lot to talk about, so we're just going to dive right in. What is TMO? Well, I'll display it right here because I don't really know what it is right now because I did not do my homework completely. But it is the Air Force option for moving you. There's an office typically attached to the housing office on the base you're at, whether that be the base that you're at for tech school or if you've already gone and you need to have your stuff shipped there after you. It's normally attached to the housing office, or at least it is at Lackland. I might be wrong about every other base, but I digress. And you will let them know roughly how much stuff you have, whether it's in a storage unit or you're still living in the house. And they will have people come out, pack up your stuff, put it in boxes, labeled boxes, put the little label stickers on it so that it gets directly to you. And then they will, goodness, I can't even think. They will ship your stuff and they will either deliver it directly to your house if you've already have a house lined up, whether that be on base, off base, what have you, or a place to live. Or they can store it for you for free. There is a slight catch with that. Just letting you know, because that's what we had to do. Because we had TMO come when the previous tenant of this house moved out to grab our stuff. And we were not able to get into our house until 2 weeks later. So for those 2 weeks, they stored our stuff in a storage facility on base somewhere. But we were not able to access it. So if you're going to go that route and have the military store your household items for free, you're going to want to make sure that you have everything that you need with you because you won't be able to access it. And then there comes an issue, like, if you're already down here, like, both my husband and myself were down. We were in Texas already. We were already living at our first house. And we didn't really have the time or the funds or the ability to drive up to Oklahoma to let them into our storage unit to get our belongings. We were, however, able to get somebody from his family a special power of attorney that gave them the right and the authority to open our locker, get our stuff out, like, be there while they moved, and handle all of the paperwork on that end of the move. There is that's always that option if you're looking to travel before your luggage, before your household items. And whichever base you choose to do it at, the legal office there will help you. They will let you know specifically what type of power of attorney, because there are a bunch, and exactly how they need to have it worked up to give whoever you're giving permission to get your stuff, permission to get your stuff. So there's that. Now there's also, I'll explain the partial do-it-yourself and the do-it-yourself in piece. Partial is exactly what it is. Most of your stuff is moved, some of your stuff comes with you. And that's more so what we did, because I had an apartment out at his tech school location with some things. And then we had a storage unit in Oklahoma, like I said, with all of our big things, beds, furniture, the works. We had it in our storage unit. So we did it ourselves from Biloxi, Mississippi to Lackland, Texas. And then when we got our house, we did a full TMO move from Oklahoma down to Lackland. You do get reimbursed for it. There is the dislocation allowance, the DLA, that you apply for either before you move or after you move, depending. There's a bunch of different allowances. Your spouse will have classes or a meeting that they go to as part of their out processing from tech school, where it gives them all the information on how to apply for that and receive that, so that way you have some money to make it from point A to point B. That's normally for gas and lodging. Because there are rules. There are so many rules with military, or at least the Air Force. I'm not sure how the Army, Navy, or Marine Corps does it, but the Air Force, you cannot be in the car for more than 8 hours a day or 500 miles, whichever comes first. So they are, and it's not just they can't be driving, they physically cannot be on the road for more than 8 hours or more than 500 miles. And again, it's kind of like an oil change. It's either the date or the mileage, whichever comes first, either the hour, how long you've been in the car, or how many miles you've gone, you have to stop at that point. And there are all of the hotels that you possibly want to stay at do have a government rate that they are not allowed to overcharge you. Now, I'm not entirely sure if it will be tax exempt, so that's something that you need to look into yourself. I work for the Inns of Lackland, so I kind of have a little bit of knowledge, but that's only of the San Antonio area. I don't know how it works for any other place. Also, please don't give me hate because I work at the Inns of Lackland. There's a lot. It's a lot. But there are some funds that you can apply, that you can get to cover your expenses moving forward before you get to your first duty station, and you can apply for those reimbursements by getting receipts. Number one rule for military life: always keep your receipts for things like travel, whether it's travel for PCS, travel for a temporary duty assignment. Any type of thing where you're paying either out of pocket or with a government travel card if you're the service member, keep your receipts. Because those are kind of like your lifeline if you want to get reimbursed for that money. So, first and foremost. And then after you have figured out how you want to move, so you're still at your tech school location, but you figured out how you're getting your stuff from point A to point B, you need to apply for housing if you're going to live on base. Because most places, the waiting lists are very long. I know from seeing things online for Lackland that I think it was like upwards of 4 months So apply for housing if you're going to live on base. And in that case, along with housing, do your research. Know what the neighborhoods look like for your area. Know what the schooling is like, either on base or off base. Like, do everything that you would normally do if you were moving just from across town or for any other reason besides military. Do your research, because at the end of the day, you're going to want to choose an option that's best for your family. Same with buying or renting if you're going to be living off base. Run the scenarios, figure out how much you're going to be paying in rent from your BAH living on base, as opposed to living off base. Sorry. What? Sirius is over here. He wants some love. Yeah. But do all this research as soon as possible. Like, as soon as you pretty much know where you're going to be going, start looking into these things. Because either the wait list is going to be extremely long, the cost of living is not going to be worth it, or there's a bunch of factors that you need to think of and take into consideration when you're choosing how you're going to live at this new duty station. I feel like I'm saying a lot, so I apologize. Staying on base during your move. This is a big one, both as a spouse and as a person who works for an Air Force Inn's location. You are allotted up to 10 days on both sides of the move reimbursed from finance. So that means that leaving tech school, if you have to, you are allotted 10 days at that base lodging that it's going to be reimbursed. And then when you get to your first duty station or your new duty station, you have 10 days at the beginning of your stay that are reimbursed from finance, from the financial office. 10 days. 10 days. That is extremely important. I'm going to say it a couple more times. You get 10 days reimbursed, whether you end up staying on base or off base, depending on the location. Now, I do know that some bases are small and they don't have a base lodging, or some bases contract out their lodging. Like, I think the Army bases contract out lodging instead of having like a legit like Air Force Inns or Navy Lodge or whatever set up. So, but you get 10 days reimbursed to you. After that, it is up to the base if you stay on base, what their procedure is. If they keep you on after that, like priority 1 or priority 2. And I can make an entirely separate video about this, and I probably will at this point, because there's a lot that goes into staying in base lodging, whether you're coming in on orders or off orders. But whether you stay on base or off base, you get 10 nights reimbursed from finance. So just if you get nothing else out of that little spiel, you get 10 nights reimbursed. And then you get per diem for traveling, and that depends on rank and number of dependents. So it just, like I said, it just depends on how many people you claim as your dependents and what your rank is. Will allot you so much money a day for gas, lodging, and all that type of stuff. There is like I said, there is a certain amount based on by the federal government that hotels are allowed to charge you if you're military traveling on orders. I know in San Antonio, it's $126. There we go. So yeah, I would do your research, call up the hotels, like if you're doing an entire cross-country trip, call up hotels in the area that you know you're going to be stopping and seeing what that government rate is, and also knowing what the national limit is for per diem, for how much they're allowed to charge you. Because if it varies, that's important to know. If not, you want to make sure that they're not charging you more than $126 a night. Because they do that. Especially even around here in a military town like San Antonio, with such a high military presence, some of the hotels do like to rob you. Try to. But yeah. I think that pretty much covers it. Again, if there's anything that I didn't explain fully, comment it below, and I will do my best to either explain it myself again or to point you in a direction of somebody or some resource that has more information or easier to understand information than I do. I hope you found this video very informative. I know that especially your first PCS to that first duty station, it is so stressful and you're kind of lost in a sea of information because everybody's coming at you from everywhere. But if nothing else, remember, there is a briefing that your spouse can go to, and I think they have to go to while they're out processing, that lets them know all the information of what's available to families who are moving. Remember, 10 days are reimbursed on either side of the move. And that there's always people or groups that are out there to help you. If you haven't, I would suggest joining the Facebook group for whatever base you're going to be transferring to. I would recommend getting on the Air Force Wing Moms Direct Spouse group because there's so many spouses out here who have already gone through this, who have the answers that you need. They also have the base directory, so you can get in contact with people who are going to the base that you're going to. So use those resources. We have them for a reason. And if nothing else, have your spouse talk to their superiors at their tech school. It kind of seems scary, I know, because they spent 8.5 weeks getting yelled at by MTIs, and then MTLs aren't much better as far as that goes, but just have them ask these questions because it is stressful being on the outside of the equation. So again, I hope this was really helpful. If it was, give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions. If you have not yet, please subscribe to my channel. I make military videos every Monday. Wednesdays are either a vlog or a podcast over on my SoundCloud channel. And Fridays are dedicated strictly to Disney. So I will see you guys back here for a BMT graduation celebration video for my husband's cousin. And then on Friday will be, as always, something Disney related. I hope you guys have an amazing start to your week. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Bye, guys.